Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here to do another Percy Jackson and the Olympians review. Episode 7. Let's see, we find out the truth, sort of, based off of the, I believe, the 17th, is it the 17th or... No, the 19th chapter, in which this episode covers chapters 17 to 19, from which Percy finally travels to the underworld to confront Hades and learns the truth. Kind of, but yeah. It pretty much follows off from the last episode in which they went to the Lotus Hotel, encountered Hermes, stole his taxi, and found a way to the underworld before finding a way to the underworld after Percy went to the location where he was supposed to meet his father, but was unfortunately too late and received these magic pearls that will teleport him and his loved ones back from the underworld once he is done. Or at least return them to the sea, is how you put it. But yeah. That's generally the episode. How does this episode play out? How faithful it is to the books? Well, we'll see. The episode immediately begins at Krusty's waterbed palace, which, let's see, Percy is meted by Krusty, but is actually Procrustes, the another son of Poseidon, who traps people and murders them. But he reversed before to be called Krusty, though he does, and ends up just mocking Percy for having Poseidon's eyes. Percy is not really interested in his waterbeds and demands that he let him through to the secret to the underwater, the main secret to the passage to the underworld, which he is guarding. But he just keeps trying to make a sales pitch and trying to, let's see. He tries to ignore them, maybe even mocking about how, because of their parents, make it difficult for them and all that stuff, as he talks about how he wishes to stretch everyone. But Percy's not buying it and just gives Annabeth a signal to push him as she's in her invisible Yankees cap, and he is now trapped around in like one of his beds. So with Krusty cursing Percy, saying he won't save his mother, with Annabeth warning her that he's lucky that we haven't cut off their head, which they then enter the back room once Groover comes in. Seemingly kept him outside because he probably wouldn't, let's see, help them out on this bit, or maybe cause too much of a distraction. I'm not sure, but they approach the do not enter door, the label and all that stuff, with Groover thinking that the place smacks of death or like really rotten milk. Percy decides to give them each one of Poseidon's pearls as a ticket out. But Annabeth says they're not going back, and even though they protest about having them at first, Percy wants them to have it just in case. It wouldn't be a good idea to have them all having the pearls at once, him having all the pearls at once, and it'd probably be better for them just to have it just because of the just in case they have to try and escape. Even after being convinced, they each take one pearl, as Percy holds one for him and his mother. They enter the underworld, and then we cutting back to like a flashback where Percy is waiting in a car outside a boarding school as her mother wants to take him to the school, as she believes that it will be fitting for like Percy's, let's see, learning differences. With her even making a comment about how this place is perfect for learning kids, but Percy just doesn't want to do it. And she gets annoyed, saying that it's annoyed when he tries to lock the door, saying that let's see, one way or another he's going into that school, and let's see, now the only thing that's going to change is how ugly he's going to make this, because they can either leave on a good note or they leave on a very bad note. And then we cut to the present, in which we then see Percy, Annabeth, and Grover in the underworld, and they spot Chiron, let's see, crossing the river Syrax with or the river Styx with, I always call it the Syrax, and it should be the river Styx, where Percy makes that little joke about the not in canvassing, but Annabeth doesn't understand it. But yeah. But they're trying to figure out how if they can try and cross it without before beating Chiron. But they're so over which you see them try and push away through a bunch of dead people, with Groover questioning it, but Percy says, think of it like New York, but Chiron, Reveiw spots them and realizes they're not dead. Percy and Groover try to offer him gold and drachmas to let them pass, but Chiron, after he says, like, you have not paid to cross and all that, but Chiron then summons Cerberus with like a dog whistle, and it starts to chase them. It sort of swallows Groover, and it looks like it's about to swallow the other two, but Annabeth is able to jump on Cerberus' side, scratch or tickle it as it calms down Cerberus, as then Groover spits out. Use it. Then they have Groover use his winged shoes to fly Percy to the top of the I believe the wall that allows them to enter, see the underworld, if you will, or the upper part of the river Styx. But Annabeth slips and Cerberus starts acting wild again. With her then. Annabeth throwing a red stress ball that he gave Groover before earlier, but took it back after he was keeps stressing it a bit. As it flies up to Percy and Groover, then Cerberus tries to jump and gobble them, and then we see that Annabeth is on the wall, using it to using the ball to lure Cerberus to jump, so she can jump on the wall, and then after they pull it up, or at least actually the wall to the underworld, wall to the underworld. Annabeth uses the uses the red ball and throws it in the river Styx to distract Cerberus, who acts a bit like a dog trying to chase it, but cannot seem to find a way to get it without getting into the river Styx. And then they see that Hades' palace in the distance, but then Groover realizes that he's lost his pearl and it must have been swallowed up by Cerberus, with Percy willing to offer the Groover his the spare pearl that they had for his mother. And then we end up cutting to back to the flashback with Sally and Percy Jackson, in which you see the city school, and Sally Jackson's trying very hard to get them to enter the boarding school, but it seems like Percy's been removed from the administration because they received contact from the previous school's counselor about how Percy drew a horse with wings and tried to look for the roofing, and that they don't believe that Percy can handle that kind of psychological monitoring, thinking that Percy may or may not be suicidal, or this is at least my guess is, but this annoys Sally because he's already withdrawn Percy from the previous school and doesn't have anywhere else to go, with the administration suggesting that she considers homeschooling him, and thinking that some children are better off, and you can just see Percy just listening in, just feeling all depressed about everything. But she refuses to accept that kind of answer, saying that they should try and figure out how they can make it work at this school. And then we cut to the present, where you see our trio walking about, with Groover apologizing for losing a pearl and then offering to stay behind so that Percy can use that one last pearl to save his mother, which I will admit I've probably went a bit ahead of myself in the summary bit. But Percy refuses that and to leave any of his friends behind, and gives Percy remaining pearl, and says that once you get the master boat back, he's going to have Groover and Annabeth go back with his mother, willing to sacrifice himself. Just so that she can escape. But they are a bit protest about this. But before they can continue this conversation, they sort of encounter a spirit, which is one that's all veined up with roots, and Annabeth realizes that it's the fields of Ashpo, and these souls are being rooted in place because they've had regrets for choices they have made or didn't made in their life. Let's see, and let's see which they have, which kind of like spooks them, but then they hear Cerberus's voice, let's see, howling, and they all decide to try and flee, which unfortunately Grover and Percy do not realize Annabeth is trapped. Let's see, with Grover realizing that she has some kind of regret, but Annabeth tries to dismiss it, but ends up telling her friends to go on without her, as she'll use the pearl to escape, and then she trusts that Poseidon's pearls will work with her, and then Percy and Grover continue on as they run as fast as they can away. But as they look on with as Cerberus gets close, they hear Cerberus' voice growing louder until eventually I think Annabeth uses the pearl before Cerberus can reach her. And then it cuts to this sort of desert landscape, which looks very similar to Percy Jackson's dreams. They've been walking for a while, and they've noticed that Cerberus is no longer chasing them, which they wonder is kind of strange. But as they are starting to but then they start to notice that Grover is being dragged or even flown away to a certain away from the direction they were going into a sort of massive pit. Percy's able to grab and save Grover before the shoes fly off him, and as they fall into this pit, and then Percy starts to realize his backpack is heavy, and they find the Master Bolt in there. They're both shocked, with Grover thinking it must be a fake, but Percy realizes it's the real thing, and then let's see, with them wondering how he has it, with Percy trying to say that it isn't his bag, but then realizes that it was Ares' bag, and that Ares must be, and they conclude that Ares is the one that had the Master Bolt, and that he is being in cahoots with Hades. So, and that they've been using, and Ares has been using him as the delivery boy, if you will, to get to Hades, so he could give him the Master Bolt. But at this point, you have at this point, they realize that they now can return the Master Bolt to Zeus with this. Grover, knows what his friend wants, says, let's go find Percy's mother. And then we cut back to another flashback where Percy and Sally are sitting at a sort of restaurant where she's trying to reassure her son. Ritzy seemingly now managed to seal a deal with the school that it will be able to work for Percy, but and even if he's not happy there eventually, they can try something else, but wants her son to give it a chance. And says that they'll tries to, I think, offer him another snack, maybe an ice cream or something. But says that she needs to bring her son to school soon. But Percy is asking his mother why she's trying so hard to get rid of him, which Sally ends up saying that's not what she's trying to do, and she would never do that. Which leads her to become emotional as she walks to to the bartending or the counter to try and get some, try and calm herself down, and make sure she doesn't lose it in front of doesn't look like a mess in front of her son. Anyway, Percy, the scene cuts back to the present with Percy and Grover entering Hades' palace. You get greeted in by the guards. And they're not harming them. The door opens. They go to a lift to the throne room, which this nice little sort of grey crystal like area and all that stuff with and then they see like a throne, but Harris is walking past that, greeting them, offering them some sort of like beverages and all that stuff. But Percy says that he wants his mother, with Hades realizing that Percy wants to get down to business, takes them to where her mother is, and we see him sort of like seems to be some sort of luxury sitting area for like Hades. We see Percy's mother as a sort of gold statue, but no, I think it might be more of a metallic statue. Let's see, with Percy getting like questioning what he did to her, but with Hades pointing out that he saved her life from being crushed by the Minotaur, ends up saying that that he ended up saving her because he wanted to make an offer to Percy to like give him his mother if he gives him what he wants. Percy thinks that it's the Master Bolt and tells him he refuses to give the bolts, even if that's what he and Ares is planning. But it's thinking that it's wrong, and just tells him just to let his mother go. But Hades is confused because with Grover trying to chime in, but Hades pretty much says that he is not in cahoots at all with Ares, and then what he's really looking for is his Master Bolt, which is stolen, thinking that Percy used it to steal the Master Bolt. Let's see, but and just wants Percy to return the helm, and he can keep the bolt, and just wants that. He wants to stay out of his brother's family drama and all that stuff, but which confuses Percy and Grover at first, before Percy realizes after like the whole after hearing Hades talk about not wanting war, the Master Bolt, and the family drama thing, realizes that it's Kronos that's behind all this. It's Kronos, which Harris is skeptical of first because Kronos is cut to a million pieces, but Percy realizes that Kronos is somehow trying to come back, and it's been the voice he's been hearing in his head, not Hades, that has been telling him to try and bring him the Master Bolt. At this point, then, thinking that Hades has, like, Kronos, since he has the biggest grudge against the other ones, at this point, let's see. At this point, Hades now tries to offer Percy a new dinner. Let's see, new offer if he gives like him the Master Bolt, and he can offer him sanctuary for him, his mother, and Grover from the upcoming threat with Hades. And let's see, even though they're a bit confused because he didn't want the bolt, but Hades thinks like, okay, let's see. He doesn't, but if Kronos is coming back, he needs something to prepare for it and all that stuff. And Percy, realizing that he needs to sacrifice, he needs to actually complete this quest, and looks at his mother, realizing that the part of the prophecy that you failed to save what matters most in the end, realizes that he needs to leave her behind and just return the Master Bolt, and also find now Hades' Helm of Darkness. Tells Hades that he will offer like Hades' first deal, that he will retrieve his stolen helm, and he'll give his mother back. But Hades is telling him not to muck about, saying that because he's not happy at this current situation, but he tells Grover to smash their beads, and he does it himself. And then, let's see. Hold on a sec. We get to like the next flashback, and the final flashback, in which let's see, where Sally decides to light a match and puts in the remains of a cup of ice cream, and this causes a thundercloud thing, and this is Poseidon, and this seems to be a way for Sally to summon Poseidon as he comes to confront her about confront her about what her current situation is, with her trying to assure that she's not failing her son, with her saying that she wants to take her to Camp Half-Blood, but let's see, Poseidon knows she doesn't really want to, and but she realizes that monsters are starting. People like Poseidon's world is starting to. Poseidon's world is starting to. Let's see, notice, and it's just at the moment a Pegasus or winged horse, but it's like it could get worse over time, and so it thinks like it's best to be safe and sorry, and but Poseidon knows she doesn't really want to do this, and that she has no anyone to talk to about all this stuff in the world, but see, so he ends up asking what he wants, and she tells him that he wants Percy to realize who he is before let's see, he enters his world, and before the gods and everyone there make him who he thinks he is. So she wants Percy to be better than let's see, than whatever it is the gods want him to be. But with that, Poseidon tells Sally that she knows he has the answer. Percy going back to his school instead of camp, and he will learn things that Sally can't teach him there. And while it will be painful, but they will both be stronger for it on the other side. And let's see, encourages Sally by praising her for how well job they've done of raising their son, with her offering Poseidon to try and have a chance to talk to Percy or even just hear the voice. But Poseidon says that it's not the right time, but promises Sally that one day when Percy is ready, he'll know who he is and where he belongs, and what fate may have for Percy, and what path he is, and all that. His father will be there by his side, and we then cut to the final scene of Percy waking on the beach with Grover and Annabeth, Montank, and then let's see, and they realize as they help him put to his feet, and then they spot Ares, who is carrying a massive sword, approaching the trio, as Percy draws Riptide, ready to face Ares for the battle of now the revealed treacherous god, ending the episode. And boy, that was episode. Honestly, this episode of things changes to the books I like. I added stuff from the books and changes in the books that I liked and didn't like. Now, let's see. Now, there's a few differences with the Krusty's waterbed place. It ends up having a secret path instead of this DOA recording studios bit, but I think that's fine. It's a nice little opener and all that stuff. Though, granted, it's a bit different in how Percy traps Krustus, the monster, from then compared to the books, because I think in the books Annabeth and Grover get caught in the beds or traps first, and then Percy tries to play along and says, "I might get traps," and then tricks him into getting caught up in one of his own traps before beheading him, and that's why you have Annabeth threatening him to saying, "Don't make us regret beheading you." This is her way of saying. This is sort of like a reference to that. So this is like a reference to that instead of killing him. I assume it's because they don't want to show a detailed decapitated scene. But either way, I do think the whole it still pretty much more or less works. But interesting enough, I think they bring up the fact that Krustus and Percy are actually sons of Poseidon. I don't recall if the books did that. It's been a very long time since I read the books, but I do like how it says it has a bit of mockery, bit of banter with Krustus and Percy, with him saying "You have our dad's eyes." So it's "You can't save your mother" and all that stuff. But yeah, I can't recall if this is less action oriented in the thing and a bit more plain. Granted, I think it works fine, and I do like how Percy's just how they did, and how they still have Percy tricking Crustus by having him being the distraction for Annabeth to push him into his own bed and trapping him. I think it still works. It's not an exact copy, but I think it's fine. My guess is they probably can't do the more, I think, tricky trap thing that you get in the books compared to like the show's budget. But I think it works at the very least, and it's still a nice opener and all that stuff. And I do like how Percy decides to give each of the beads to one of his friends at the start, even though they are a bit reluctant to. But I do like his logic of like, if something happens and you need to get out, you can use the pearls to smash, which I think is a bit clever. But anyway, the biggest difference is like of this book is the fact that it's the added scenes of Sally Jackson and Percy. Arguably, these scenes never appear in the book. These are all just added stuff to the show. My guess it's more just to build sort of like build up more. My guess this stuff was just added just to try and show some sides of like Percy and Sally's some of the struggles they had of trying to just like raise a ADHD boy, which in some ways I can probably relate because I have autism myself. I think my mom has probably had similar struggles with me when I was young, with me not wanting to go places, and mom saying that I need to. And it's like stuff like that. Now, granted, I don't think I ever really had the cause of concern of like psychological thing of seeing like being on the top of a building, but at the same time, I could probably relate to how some places I went to did not really know how to handle me, and my mom needed to try and find places that could. So there's that. But I do like how but I do like that. But I do kind of relate to the story in a sense. But I do like how it shows that I do like how this shows that there are cases where Percy did have troubles with his mom. It wasn't always sunshines and rainbows, which not really what I'm saying that's what the books implied, but I don't think there was ever really a scene where you saw like Percy or Percy's mother getting too angry at each other. It was just more like it was just a very wholesome, loving relationship. I do like how it gives a bit of a conflict, and arguably it's very similar to probably how a lot of children are with children with ADHD, autism, or Asperger's problems are in the real life, and how parents might actually struggle with this. So I did like that little notion there. So I thought it was kind of like a bit of a relatable aspect in that regard. I do like how it's sort of like building throughout different parts of the episode. And I do like how they use these flashbacks to cut between like scenes where after Percy and the trio gone to one scene or another, it's like a sort of nice bit of a breaker, and just to remind you that Percy's trying to find Sally Jackson. And I do like how you have like Sally just trying to push for like the school to just, I need Percy to go to the school, and you just kind of see Percy just feel like his mother doesn't want him and all that stuff. Especially when they're talking like in that restaurant, and it's building up to seeing Poseidon, which is much earlier in the book. He only like appears in the one chapter, and that's towards the end. But I do like this is like building up, and I think it makes sense that we would see a bit of Poseidon before the final episode, and which the actor for Poseidon is portrayed by, I believe, Toby Stephens, and hold on, let me just get to, I believe it's the Lightning Thief, and Poseidon. Nope. Poseidon in the movie was played by Kevin McKidd, but it's a different actor, and I think he's fine with the role that he's done. I do like how he's being supportive of Sally, and I do kind of find it interesting how we've got like how Sally can like call Poseidon by lighting a match on seemingly some liquid or glass or something. I'm not sure if it's like lighting a fire in something watery, and it draws Poseidon's attention, and it's like he comes to talk to her. But I do like how Sally's just like thinking of whether or not he should send Percy to camp now, but Poseidon knows that Sally doesn't want to do that, and she ends up talking about how he wants Percy to know who he is first before going to camp, which arguably before the gods tell him what he should be rather than he decides what he wants to be. And I can understand why she wants that. It's just like have her son figure out who he is before entering this world of gods and monsters and all that. And I do like how Poseidon shows up at sea. Let's see. Poseidon says that that's probably more of the right decision for her. And even though he has a chance to see Percy, he thinks like it's not probably the time yet. And but tells Sally that when the time comes and Percy knows who he is, he will support him. So I do like that. Then it does kind of show you that, and this episode does make it clear that Poseidon does care for Percy to Percy as his son, even though he's been absent for most of Percy's life. And it'll probably hopefully lead to like, and it probably, I guess, one reason I think they probably include this to the show is to probably have like when Percy finally meets Poseidon in probably the final episode of the season, he will like they know that let's see that Poseidon does care, and let's see, hopefully that means that Percy and Poseidon will have a sort of touching moment. But anyway, now as for the other stuff in the episode, I do admit I did like the sort of like joke about we're not in Kansas anymore. Wizard of Oz thing, in which Percy doesn't understand first, and then Annabeth doesn't, because, well, if you remember, she has never watched the movie. But yeah, so let's see, but yeah. Now, interesting enough, Annabeth and the others are already at the River Styx before they let's see, cross with Chiron, because in the books Chiron gives them entrance to River Styx, and interesting enough, Chiron is portrayed by Travis Woolershan, who is also the actor who portrayed him in the Percy Jackson movie, and so he's in many ways still sort of like playing sort of the similar portrayal of the character. So it's not really the white suit tuxedo one that Percy and the others do, with like Percy gives them like golden drachmas, and he's just like, "Can you put in a word for me of getting a pay rise from his boss?" Which leads to one of the more funniest bits in the conversation with Percy and Hades in the books. And it says like, Chiron wants a pay rise, and Hades is like, "Don't get me started on Chiron after all these Italian suits that he's wearing." And all that stuff. I'm a little disappointed that we don't get that conversation, and he seems like they're sticking with like the movie counterpart, but this time he's not taking any drachmas or bribes, because Percy, Annabeth, and Grover broke the rules of entering the dead thing. Which, okay, fair enough. My guess is perhaps my guess is that the showrunners, and I guess maybe Rick Riordan, enjoyed Travis Wilson's performance. So they decided to let the actor come back and play him again. It must be interesting for an actor to portray a role of a character that he hasn't played in like 14 years. Blimey. Is that how long the Percy Jackson movie came out? Let's see. So yeah. Yeah. So I do sort of like how let's see, he's just let's see. I do like let's see, it's not an exact, even though it's like similar portrayal from the movie, there's at least that one difference, even though I probably prefer the one from the book. Anyway, I do like how Cerberus is used to prevent have Grover lose the beads. See, in solving that little 4 pearl issue because that wasn't in the books. But anyway, here's one difference is that Annabeth doesn't use a chew toy and play with Cerberus. At first to let them pass. Instead, she's petting him and all that stuff, scratching and tickling him, I guess you could say, to calm him down to let them pass, or at least have Percy and Grover fly up to the wall to the other side of the underworld. But my guess is they probably changed this because it would look perhaps maybe a bit too silly for live action, but it still works, I'd say. And it does still does lead to the tension of Grover being first swallowed. At first, it's this showing the threat of Cerberus is this dog will catch you eventually. From my understanding, Cerberus was the last task that Hades needed to do in order to pass those 12 trials. So I do like how we got a little bit of that. But yeah. But I still like how they did use the ball at the very least, because which I do like the how they did a sort of chuck of his gun with the red balls, like Annabeth giving him a stress ball. So here, use this, and then it's give it back after Grover was a bit stressed and kept using it, and that she would use it to he does sort of play ball with Cerberus, but chases off with chases off and keeps them distracted, especially when it falls into River Syrax. Well, granted, the fields of Ashpole are a lot different than in the books, because from what I can tell, the field of Ashpole is just a very long line in the books where people just do not remember their memories. Here, there's also people that are full of regrets, trapped in roots and all that stuff. Because in the books, you also saw the sort of grief blitz of the more, I guess you could say, heaven-like place where all the heroic and good people enjoy the afterlife, while there's also the hell and torturous part of the underworld, where if you did horrible crimes, you'd be tortured for eternity. I particularly think there's one story of this very clever, smart guy who tried to cheat death, is forced to push a boulder, pushes it and it reaches the top, and then it only to fall it down again. And he's continuing to push it off and thinking he can do it to Ritzy this time, but fails all the time. But you don't really see that here. Maybe in the Demigod Files if they decide to adapt that, but who knows? You have to wait and see. But you do have one difference is that Annabeth is gets trapped in the field of pastors when Cerberus starts to chase them. Annabeth pretty much stays all the way through to the whole underworld journey with Percy and Grover and the confrontation with Hades. And now, why is this change done? My guess is because, they wanted to try and cause a bit of suspense of one of them being left behind, and Annabeth, being the smart one, means that Percy and Grover needs to figure stuff out, so it causes tension. But I think it also to let people realize that Annabeth does have some regrets, and with how things played out with her father, which my guess is since Percy, she never really had that conversation with Percy about how giving her father a chance. I think given how that Annabeth mentioned how her father had a dog once, she's using this to realize that I have I have regrets of not trying to give him Ritzy try and sort things out with my father. I'm going to try and do that in the summer, after the summer at the end of this series, because that's what happens in the book, as she decides to give living with her family one more chance. So we have that. So anyway, Yeah. Now, the whole pit with Tartarus thing, for most part, that's similar, but of course, Annabeth is there, and Percy's able to save Grover. But the difference is the Master Bolt is not revealed at this point rather than actually at Hades' throne room, because in the books, Percy, the lightning bolt is revealed to be in Percy's backpack at that point, with Hades calling Percy the sort of liar and all that stuff. Now, my guess is not this change, and that Percy realizes that that Ares has double crossed him sooner. When they think that, okay, Hades and Ares and cahoots. Now, granted, my guess is just try and differentiate it from the movies, but at the very least, lead to different, okay, so you have two traitorous gods until the whole Kronos revelation. Though, granted, I'll get that to a second. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Lightning bolt being revealed at this point in time, but it's not necessarily too bad of a change. Now, granted, this is one of the changes I'm not necessarily a fan of. It's the portrayal of Hades, this portrayed by Jay Duplass, which it's a lot different than the Gothic Steve Coogan thing, who wanted the bolt so he could rise up against his brothers. Instead, thought that, and he, with thinking that Percy did take the bolt and just wanted him to give him the bolt so he could rise up against his brothers in the films. But in the books, Hades is a bit more of doesn't really want war, doesn't want more humans to get thing, and he's had his master bolt stolen, and he's kept this bit more of a secret, thinking that none of his family would believe him, thinks Percy stole both his bolt and the thing, and is a bit bitter and a bit and doesn't want the underworld to get any more dead people, and threatens to unleash his armies if and the undead, if he does not get his items back. He's a lot more hostile. So that's much different here. But here, he seems to be a bit more of a friendly kind of person. And is much more nicer and even a bit more reasonable with Percy about, hey, if you even willing to give him sanctuary, if he just gives him the bolt and Sally back, and gives him keeps Sally and Grover safe. If he gives him the bolt and all that stuff, because he doesn't want to go to war and all that, doesn't want to deal, because he wants to deal with, because he finds Kronos to be a bit of a threat. But I will admit, I am more fan of the bitter portrayal, but I do kind of like his sort of logic about how I don't want this sort of deal with the family drama, so I just stay out of this. I stay here. It's nice. It's much. I'm doing fine here, even though in the books, his resources are used to their bare maximum, and he can't afford to give Chiron a pay rise. But here it seems to be doing fine. Thinking that seeming there seems to be the less petty of the three brothers, if you will. He only really gets mad when Percy refuses to take him up on his second offer, when he starts to show a bit of concern that Kronos is back. But I do like how you have Percy looking at his mother and realizing that and I do like how it's a metallic statue. I mean, granted, it's more of a sort of a flame glass kind of thing, I think, in the books. But I do like how Percy realizes that he needs to show the way how Percy looks at his mother shows that he needs to leave her behind for now, but keeps Hades to his first promise. So I do like that. Other than that, at the end, if I recall, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover are sort of a part of the city, or at least or a river near the city bit, but instead they're more at the Mediterranean beach. And my guess is this is and this is actually more similar to the graphic novel adaptation of Percy Jackson. And my guess is that they just want to try and do that, try and portray it more like that. Though I'm curious on how they're going to. Curious in that bit because they've already had Percy being accused of being of kidnapping his mother thing with the Gabe. Let's see, news art with the news thing. Because in the show after that fight, they all think like Ares is the one that's been terrorizing Percy and Annabeth, and they're completely innocent in this. But it seems like that fight is going to take place on the beach, and we know that in the books. We know that in the graphic novel, no one's there to witness it, but who knows? Except for like the Furies, which show up later, which is probably spoilers for the books, but yeah. Overall, I think it's a decent episode. Not necessarily my favorite, but I do think it does a bit of a nice build up to like the final confrontation between Percy and Ares at the end. Let's see. I think some might find the Sally and Percy filler bits, added bits to be fillerish or perhaps maybe a waste of time. They could have focused on other stuff more faithful to the books. But I think it's a nice little a bit of drama and like showing the struggles that Sally Jackson had and sort of like how these both Sally and Percy are sort of struggling growing up and how much Percy doesn't want to be away from his mother. And also that sort of nice character moment of like Poseidon, like showing that, let's see, how she wants Percy to be like figure out who he is before going to the world. And at this point, at the end of the episode, Percy probably realizes who he is and all that stuff. So there's that. Like I said, the crusty stuff, that was pretty accurate. Let's see. Disappointed that we didn't get the book Chiron. I will admit, as I seen the guy who played him in the previous movie back in. Cerberus looked nice. The designs of the desert and Hades' palace look great. Not exactly, I'd say, accurate to the underworld's portrayals, particularly like the fields of Asphodel, and all that stuff. Let's see. Not sure I'm 100% on Annabeth's being left out from like the full-on part of the underworld quest, but I do like how it draws sort of tension. I think they went a bit over dramatic with the music, with the sort of seems like a self-sacrifice, but yeah. And not entirely a fan of like Hades' portrayal here, but I do like how he's logic about how, you know what, I want to stay out of my brother's war and only draw and like doesn't want the Master Bolt and all that stuff. Just want his helms, but only really wanting the Master Bolt when he's like afraid that Kronos is coming back. Stuff like that, but yeah. But I do like the continuity, how the cliffhanger of hyping up the Percy versus Ares fight that should be happening in the next episode. Hopefully that will be very good. But yeah, but overall, for now, let's see. I'd say I'd give this episode a 8 out of 10, maybe an 8.5. But yeah. But that's all I have to say now. For those who listen in to this review, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber signing off. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.